Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm talking about a lens. We're going to do a lens review on this lens. This is the very first lens I purchased, and it was 1 year after getting my camera. I really honed in my photography skills using the two kit lenses that came with my camera, and then I was trying to make very careful decisions about what lenses to buy. I didn't want to end up with a ton of lenses that I wasn't going to use, that was just going to clutter and make it hard to choose one when I did need one. So I was being very careful and strategic about my choices. And I really want to talk about this lens today. Most people completely dismiss this type of lens. And I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about why they do, and why they shouldn't. There is no lens that is right for every single photographer, and that includes this lens. So there are definitely people this lens is not a choice for, but there are definitely people who it is, including myself. So let's get into this lens. So this is the Opteka 420 to 800 millimeter lens. And those measurements, those millimeter measurements, are for a full sensor camera. I am using a crop sensor camera, so let's adjust that for a moment. So on a crop sensor camera, you're looking at 630 to 1200 millimeters using this lens. So if you've been watching for a little bit, you know my passion and my love for really big zoom lenses. And so yeah, I could not pass this up. This was under $100, so I could not pass it up. The reason this is so affordable is it is a manual lens. And that is exactly why most people disregard this, because they want fully automatic lenses, and it depends what you're shooting. I totally get that. I do love my automatic lenses, but I also think learning how to use manual focus on your lenses is a really good skill to develop. And I did develop it outside of this. This wasn't the only reason I developed that skill. And I really think it's a very valid and important skill to have. But let's take that measurement even further, because I also purchased the 2x teleconverter, which doubles the focal length of this lens. So on a full frame camera, you would be taking this to 840 to 1600 millimeters, which is already impressive. But on a crop sensor camera, you're going to take that to 1260 to 2400 millimeters. So yes, those are some really impressive numbers, and I have to tell you, this camera really does perform well if you're using it correctly. Okay, so let's talk about who this lens is for. It's not for getting wildlife, because this is a manual focus lens. Anything that's moving quickly, you're not going to be able to do that with this lens. Now hold up for just a minute here. I had filmed this video, edited this video, wrote my title and description, made my thumbnail. It was ready to upload on YouTube, and then something happened. I have another video coming very soon. It will be the next video I upload, probably called my bucket list week. And it will explain more about this. So I don't want to reveal a whole lot because I don't want to spoil that video. But I have to say, I just made the statement that this lens is not good for nature and wildlife. And while in most cases that is absolutely correct, because most wildlife is very quick moving, and this is a manual lens and you have to focus it manually, obviously that's going to be impossible with something moving very quickly. However, I'm going to retract that partially, and I'm going to say that for some types of wildlife, they actually sit very still. And it is very possible to use this lens to get photographs of that wildlife. So you will see in my next video that I used this lens to get some photos of wildlife. Just a hint I'll give, there are some large birds of prey that, yes, if they're flying through the sky, they are quickly moving, and you could not use a manual lens for that most likely. But if they're sitting in their nest, or if they're perched somewhere, they are typically sitting very, very still. And that's why a lot of people just walk right past them and completely miss them. I've trained my eye, and I will talk about that in future videos, for looking for shapes to find these very still birds. But I will let you get back to your video. I just needed to insert that and be completely honest with you, because I had just made this and made all those statements, and I felt really bad putting this video out without making that disclaimer and clarifying that statement. So back to your video. But for nature, for still photos, a lot of landscapes, a lot of sky. Some of my favorite pictures I've taken with this were of the moon. And this is a lens, obviously, that you put on a tripod. And I had it so zeroed in on the moon that I didn't even have to crop the pictures. I actually photographed a lunar eclipse with this. And so I kept checking back in and taking pictures every few minutes. And it was amazing that I was so zoomed in on the moon. I'm looking that way because that's where it was when I filmed it. I was so zoomed in that like every 5 minutes I had to unlock the tripod and reposition it. And it was amazing because I actually never noticed how quickly the moon is moving up in the sky until you're that close in on it and you see all of a sudden it's out of frame every couple of minutes. That shows you how closely zoomed in I was with this lens. So Opteka makes these lenses, and then they provide the mount for your camera. I know they have Nikon. I did notice that they had Canon, but I don't remember any other brands, but you can certainly look into it. So this is your F mount, if you will, and you lock it on the camera. My camera doesn't sit flat. I got some questions in my last video about that because I have this attachment on the bottom that lets me put it into my harness I wear when I do my walks every morning. I don't like taking it on and off on a daily basis, so it just stays there. So then you're going to screw this onto the Nikon mount. And one thing that really amazed me when I first got this lens is how heavy it is. It is metal. It is so solid and durable and well built. You know, all the Nikon lenses are, at least on the outside, it's plastic coating and they're fairly light. This is a really nice, solid, and it's not something you're going to be carrying around. So you don't need the light weight for that. It's going to be on a tripod. So being nice and heavy and sturdy is actually quite a bonus. And this is where you hook it on the tripod. You can loosen it to adjust this down and then retighten it. And then this is what you would hook onto your tripod. Okay, so with this lens, you just pull it in and out. There's no twisting mechanism. And your aperture is set according to your millimeters. So the only thing you can control on the camera is your shutter speed and your ISO. Everything else is here. Your aperture is going to be set based on your millimeters. So at 420 millimeters, your aperture is 8.3. At 500, it's 10. At 600, it's 12. At 700, it's 14. And at 800, it's 16. So to focus it, you twist this into piece. And I will say that when I used this on the tripod, I would use my remote so I didn't have to touch the shutter, so you don't have any camera shake happening when you're taking the picture. You can also set a delay. So you push the button and then there's enough of a delay, 3-second, 5-second, 10-second delay before it shoots so that there's no more movement happening with camera shake. All right, let me put the 2x teleconverter on here. So we have the F mount on the camera, and you're going to put the 2x teleconverter on that. Then you're going to put the lens on. And see, each time you screw it on, this ends up in a different position. So if I was putting it on a tripod, I would just loosen it up. It's been really windy here. So pardon my stuff blowing around like that. Okay. I'm at the minimum zoom here with 2 times. I was on the minimum before too. I'm just focusing at a ball on the top of an umbrella here in my yard. But this is a really hard one to hand hold. This really needs to be on a tripod. I was just trying it out. I haven't used it in quite a while. It's not a lens I use often, but it is a wonderful lens and it can do some amazing shots. Like I said, there's no lens out there that's right for every single photographer. And that stands true for this one. But the people who disregard this lens so quickly and don't even consider it, or they try it and they don't like it because they used it the wrong way or they used it for the wrong thing, it's like if you need a hammer and you're using a screwdriver for the job and you're getting mad at the screwdriver and saying that it's no good and it's not worth anyone using, that would be wrong, right? You're using the wrong tool for the job that you need to get done. That's very similar to lenses. You need to be picking the right lens for the job that you're going to do. And that includes with this lens. You need to understand what this lens can do and can't do and use it appropriately. But if you do use it appropriately, it is a really good lens and for an amazing price point. So that's why I wanted to do this review and share this with you, because I feel like a lot of people see it online and they're like, it's too cheap, there's something not right, like it can't possibly be good. And it's just because it's not automatic, there's no electronics in it. That is why it's so affordable, but it can be a really amazing lens if you're using it the right way and for the right job. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope if this sounds like a good fit for you and your type of photography that you like to do, that you will give it a chance. If you've considered this lens, please leave me a comment below and tell me. If you've used it, also please leave me a comment and let me know. And I would just love to hear any thoughts on it in general in the comments down below. So thank you so much. I hope this was helpful. Have a great day, guys, and God bless you.